I will praise you on the mountain. I will praise you in the mountains and the way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I will praise you in the valleys, all the singers you lowest God within the shadows. Lowest faithful when the night leaves such a way to break us down and to distract us and to have so much influence over our lives, God. You defeat him and you lead us into those pastures, God, into those quiet streams with your rod and with your staff, Lord, that you protect us. I pray if anyone this morning doesn't know that kind of protection and that kind of love, God, that you could just open up their heart to you and put people in their lives that will show your light and show who you are, and that they will show your love to them, God. I just lift up Jarvis this morning. I just pray that you take all distractions, any anxiety and any nerves, God, and that you just fill him with your light this morning, that we are able to just accept what you're saying to us, and that you just reach our hearts like no one else can do, God. We love you and we praise you, and in your Son, Jesus' name, amen.
All right, good morning. You can go ahead and have a seat. Man, it's so good to see you this morning. I'm so glad I didn't scare you off last week. You came back for more. You came more to hear more about the next generation. That is great. That is awesome. And we're so excited to fill your mind with awesomeness about how much we love the next generation. All right. So real quick, if you're new here this morning, we do have a QR code in the seat in front of you. If you could just take out that camera on your cell phone and scan that QR code, it's really simple and easy, and you'll fill out a Connect card. All right. And that's just a good way for us to keep in contact with you. All right. To let you know that we love you and cool things that are happening in our church. And the only way that we can let you know of those cool things is if you sign up for the Connect card, okay? It's simple, it's easy, it takes about 5 seconds, all right? If you came prepared to give this morning, we just want to say thank you for your support. I think we have reached our $10,000 to send our youth kids to camp. We're super, super stoked about it. If you feel like you need to go to camp and you are a male, please come talk to us, please. Because we could use some help, okay? No pressure, but if you are feeling like you need to get sunburned, please come see us, all right? But if you came prepared to give this morning, we have the black box on the back wall. You can give on the QR code, or you can always give at brownwoodcommunity.com and click the Give tab, all right? So this morning, I have the awesome opportunity to introduce you to my brother. He has a bit darker skin than me, okay? He got all the tanness that I did not get, all right? But Jarvis is going to be bringing us an awesome message this morning, so we're going to watch this video and we'll get started.
Hey, welcome. My name is Jarvis Green. For those of y'all who don't know, I am our communications director. If that all encompasses graphics, video, photography, everything that you see visually here. I enjoy what I get to do for our worship services every single Sunday. And I love to champion Generation Z. So let's get into nitty gritty. What comes to mind when you think about millennials and Gen Z? I'll let you think about it for a second. Is that thought initially positive, or is it more of a negative thought that you have about these two generations? And it's okay if you do. Some of them are warranted. So here's what we hear said about us, millennials and Gen Z. Specifically starting with millennials. We are constantly told that we're lazy, entitled, unreliable, want special treatment, and are too self-confident. Gen Z are told that they're snowflakes that have short attention spans, want instant gratification, and are addicted terribly to technology. Now, anybody can say these things, look at these things, and they could turn out to be true in their thought whenever they see these people out and about. But I want to introduce you to each of these generations in a more proper way. So starting with Gen Z, they start roughly from 99 to 2015. Uh, Getting some fuzz. Um, these are, they give or take depending on what articles you read about where it starts and ends. But we're going to go with 1999 to 2015. They are considered to be digital natives, meaning they were born as the tech and internet boom had already begun. So they only know a world where there's Instagram, TikTok, all these different things, cell phones at early ages. All of their video game consoles are way better than ours, and all of that. I'm trying to figure out what that fuzz is. Is it my jacket? Let's see if that helps. Um, they have vast access to information. So Google came about. They have search engines. They're able to look up any and everything they want to know info on. They don't need encyclopedias or dictionaries to find out their information. They can do it all on their phone. Diversity for them is a mission. They seek to be a diverse group of people. They love to be inclusional as a group. And they coined the term "okay boomer." So those of y'all who don't know, this is pointed at people who don't understand. So if you want to know, look it up. I'm not going to tell you. And they're interested in inclusive community. So they value welcoming people to the table of different backgrounds, nationalities, all kinds of different things. They love inclusive community. And they're extremely resourceful. So again, Google comes into play, but also TikTok, a lot for Generation Z. TikTok is a resource for news. It's a way to get hacks on how to do things easier. They learn all kinds of things from TikTok. Yes, there's bad things on social media, but the way that they utilize TikTok as a way to commune and to help one another with easy tasks and to find ways to do things without spending a whole lot of money is very awesome. So an interesting fact, Gen Z considers itself more accepting and open-minded more than any of the generations before them. And I believe this to be true. They value, excuse me, they value justice. They care about the planet deeply. They really are into sustainability. They advocate for their beliefs. They are very vocal in what they know to be wrong and fight for what's right. This generation, every generation is shaped by different events and things like that, but this generation, they've grown up through the recession. The frequency of school shootings are constantly rising, and they experienced the pandemic during the most vital stages of their life. So think about this. Some of them are getting ready to go off to college, and then they're trying to finish their sport that they're in that spring of 2020, and then everything just stops. They don't get to finish their athletic career in high school or college. That greatly affects their decision making on how to go to school. Their first semester of college is a nightmare. Some of them aren't even at campus. That was a very vital stage for a lot of people during the pandemic. And there's little to be said about the school shooting situation in this country. But yes, each generation is shaped by significant events, and Gen Z is no different. And these are hard to ignore. And pivoting became normal for them, especially during the pandemic with school decision making on what to do. So here is a photo of some of our youth group. We went out to get snow cones last week. I think this is one of the hardest photos we've ever taken, as in, like, I feel like it needs to be on an album cover of some kind. I don't know about putting the parental advisory sticker on it, but It looks pretty cool to me. But these are a few that some of them are in this room, um, and they're the coolest thing about me. They they don't they didn't grow up with me where I grew up in high school and middle school and stuff, and I was a little black nerd who loved anime and played video games and was in band and football at the same time. They didn't know that till I told them. They think I'm cool. So I love it. If they think I'm cool, that makes me happy because I was not cool when I was their age. I was made fun of. But yeah, they're the coolest thing about me. And so I went to some of them and asked them what they want people to know about Gen Z. And here's what some of them said. This one specifically from JD at the top. If we feel judged or misunderstood, we won't want to participate. So if you're telling them they should do something and making them you feel like they're judging them for whatever they're deciding to do, they won't want to participate and they'll go somewhere else. They love to know why. So this applies to their access to vast information. They can look things up. So if you tell them they need to do something just because you told them they need to do, they're going to ask why. They love to know why. It's important to them. They don't want to just do things for the sake of doing it. Let's switch that. Sorry. Take this off.
This is kind of like that Super Bowl, you know? Wardrobe malfunction.
Wardrobe malfunction. Sorry about that, y'all. So they like to know why. They want people to know that they care about the world around them. A lot of them advocate for the planet, for social justice, for all kinds of different things. They care. Seth specifically said that this third one, he wants people to know that they care. And they want people to feel like they belong. So again, this goes on top of them wanting to be a part of inclusive community. They care about belonging somewhere, and if they feel like they don't, it makes it difficult for them to want to be where they're told they should. And one more thing I want y'all to know, Gen Z is very good at sniffing out bovine residue. That was for Bill. He loves to mention this. But Gen Z, from a consumer standpoint, Gen Z is the hardest generation to market to. They have access to all these different things. They're not loyal to brands. They wear what they know to be good, and if it's not, they won't mess with it. If you have an ethical issue with your company, you're not getting Gen Z to get involved. They don't want to mess with people who are not doing stuff the right way. And they value being real. So now on to my generation. Yeah, all my millennials in here. So roughly millennials range from 84 to 1999, give or take. Some say 96, some say 98. But from the Barner research I've found is 1999. So millennials are considered to be digital first. So we grew up in the tech boom, the tech and internet boom. So we know what CDs and cassettes are and stuff like that, 8-track, all that. But we also know the internet, Spotify, all these different things. So that's made us open and adaptive. We're pretty open-minded as a group, and we're adaptive because we've pretty much grown up in two different eras related to technology. We've adapted along the way, and it's made us just as tech savvy as Generation Z, who's only known that technology. We're considered to be the most diverse generations of adults to date. That applies in all different forms and facets. If you haven't seen me and my wife, we are not the same color. So yes, we're considered the most diverse generation of adults to date. This is a big one. So we're blamed for killing things off. Now, we're blamed for killing things off that don't matter anymore. So we don't need alarm clocks. We don't need a GPS system. We don't need CD players. We don't need cassettes. It's all on our phone. So why would we buy alarm clocks? We think Harley Davidson motorcycles are dangerous, so we're not buying them. Plus, they're not reliable. Again, so you blame us for killing stuff off. Those things aren't relevant anymore. We don't want to buy into things that aren't relevant. Now, we do think that record players are cool, and we've brought back record players for whatever reason, but everything else is out the door. And we're the biggest numbers in the current workforce. That's a big one too. So this is easy for me to talk about because I'm basically talking about me. So I want to get into the life events that we've gone through as a group. Oh, and we like to challenge the status quo. Thank you, High School Musical. If you don't know, go find out. We experienced 9/11 as children. We grew up with the rise of social media. School shootings began happening more often and served in the later years of the war in Iraq. So there's a lot that have happened in the last 30 some odd years. And particularly the school shootings thing was happening on the tail end of us being in high school, middle school, and things like that. But like I said, every generation has events that shape them, and these are just some of the ones that shape us. Social media being one of the biggest ones, because we grew up in the era where MySpace was a thing, which was very weird. We had pages that had music that played when you went on it, and some of us weren't of age to have it on there, so we lied about how old we were to make one. And we did the same whenever Facebook got started, because it was just supposed to be for college students, and then they opened it up for everybody. And I think that was the mistake. But anyway, an interesting fact about us is that 50% of millennials have a side hustle. Now, what I mean by side hustle is that most of us have 2 to 3 jobs, either to make ends meet or just to have disposable income. We earn 20% less than our parents. Our net worth is half, and we pay double for college. Yeah. So I'm not good at math, but that don't sound very good to me. That's a different conversation for a different day. But what we want y'all to know, and I asked some millennials about this too, some of my friends, what we want y'all to know about us is that we want to be included in the conversation. I don't have to expound on that. That we want to be included in the conversation. We want to know that we matter. We understand that we have value. When we are treated like we don't, we go elsewhere. I'm going to get deeper into that in a second. We care about the planet. If you haven't seen Zac Efron's show on Netflix, you need to. It changed me and Jordan's life at home. So trash gets picked up twice a week and everything. We started recycling because of that show. We only put our trash out once every other week. It's cut our trash output in half. And all we do is go like maybe once a month to dump all the plastic in cans in the recycling center. We save money on trash bags. The earth gets saved. It's a win-win. Watch the shows. They're great. They'll change your life. We value collaboration and connection. We love working with one another. We love collaborating on things and working for a common goal. Teamwork is a big deal for us. And we aren't lazy. We have 2 to 3 jobs. Come on now. We have 2 to 3 jobs and don't make enough money, apparently, while having 2 to 3 jobs. So I want to go back on this statement and unpack this a little bit more. We understand that we have value. When we're treated like we don't, we go elsewhere. Pre-2019, millennials made up just 20% of overall church attendance, with Gen Z right behind them. 21%. We're the highest in the workforce, but one of the lowest in attendance at church. So research from Barna, a lot of this data comes from getting in contact with church and non-churched groups of people and people who don't subscribe to Christianity at all. And what a lot of millennials said is that they don't go to church because they think that church can be judgmental, anti-homosexual, hypocritical, and insensitive to the things that are going on in the world around them. That's a pretty big deal. Since the pandemic, this number has jumped up to 39%. But those are still factors into why a lot of millennials are missing from the church. They feel they care about these specific things, but they feel like the church is insensitive to them or doesn't know how to approach those specific topics. And simply, a lot of them, they feel like they can find Stephen Furtick online. So why go to in-person church when I could just sit at home and watch it from my couch? And that's a big thing too. So here's a quote from the Barna article that I found. Millennials are skeptical about the role churches play in society. This is a closed door, but their hope for the role churches could play, that's an open window. That really got me whenever I was reading this article, because I believe that. I struggled with what the role the church had to play in society. So millennials are hopeful for the role that the church can play. They see that the church has a place in helping society, but they don't, as a whole, feel like the church is focusing on those things. Now, I love that this church is advocating for mental health. We're working as a church to approach mental health and to work on that as a congregation. And I love that. That's a space I definitely feel like the church should be involved in. So here's a photo of some of the millennials that go to our church. This was, I think, at the end of one of our murder mystery parties that we like to do every now and then. But yeah, there's quite a few of us that go here. But I feel like there could be more. Some of them in this photo don't attend our church, and some are from in Oklahoma serving in their own church out there, but they got to visit. But most, if not all of us, serve in this church or a church in some capacity. Every single one of us. And there's a lot of cool people in this photo. Let's just be honest. But I want to get back into kind of what KV was speaking on last week. How can we make it worth it to you to invest in these two generations? For millennials and Gen Z, we both seek mentorship. We want to be led by older adults. We want to learn from who comes before us. But we don't want to be judged in the process. And that's where the disconnect comes. A lot of us feel like when we ask for help, we get judged for not knowing what to do. So then we don't ask. We stop asking and we go find out on our own. And we'll go make the mistakes, and that's fine. But we would love to have older adults pouring into us so that we can be better people in society. So we want to be good members of society. We want to be good parents. We want to be good people. And one person that comes to mind that fully understands this is our very own Scotty Crawford. Now, I could talk about Scotty for days, but for me, KC and KV, the triplets, I know we don't look the same color, but we are brothers and sisters. Our journey started with Scotty. He saw something in us that nobody else we felt like did. He intentionally, over the course of the last 6 to 7 years, has pulled us to the side, poured into us, told us that we can do these things. and that we can help change the church. And he went all in. You want to know the result of his investment? This. The result of his investment was us doing the same for Generation Z, the kids that are in our youth group here. These kids are some of the funnest people to be around. They come and hang out with us at our house. They come and sit on our couch and vent to us if they need to. They tell us about their triumphs. They tell us about their struggles. They share their mistakes openly. And we build relationships, and then we get to pour into them. Notice how I said we built the relationships and then poured into them. It's important to know, getting to know them came before pouring into them. That's the biggest part of this whole thing, is that we try so hard to hammer things into people that we don't even know because we expect them to understand, and we don't even know the first thing about them. This means listening to them, learning what they like, learning what they don't like, getting messy. People tell them how they should be without getting to know them. And I'll tell you right now, if they don't have a relationship with you, they will be very reluctant to hear what you have to say when it comes to telling them how they should live their lives. My boys in my small group know I care about them. They come to me with things that they wouldn't otherwise to their parents because they know I'm not going to yell at them, not to say that their parents would. But we've established a safe space at our youth group for them to be open and to talk and to ask questions. And it's huge for a teenager who's coming up in their faith. We challenge them to own their own faith, not to take on what their parents were. We want them to learn and own it themselves. And I think that's awesome. So it leads me to this. One of my favorite docuseries on Netflix. This is Coach John Mosley. If y'all have not seen Last Chance U basketball, you're missing out. Coach Mosley is a basketball coach at ELAC Junior Community College in Los Angeles. He understood this. He said, rules without relationship equals rebellion. So this is a better way of phrasing what I mentioned earlier. He understood this. He has a group of boys who come from all different backgrounds and walks of life, most of them difficult. They're trying to get this second chance. They're trying to get to D1 colleges to play ball and to go to the NBA. And he knows that if they don't make it with him, a lot of them, it's over. They don't have great home lives. Some of them don't even have parents alive anymore because of the situations that they live in. He chooses to love them. He goes hard on them. He yells at them. But he prays for them. He learns what their struggles are. He builds relationships with them. And they learn about Jesus through him. So here's a photo of Coach Mo. This is him talking to one of his players. Now, if you have seen Coach Mosley in action, you know he is on fire. I've never seen a man his age with that much energy. He teaches these kids all day and then does a spin. He teaches a spin class. I don't know where he gets it from, but he is all over the place on the court, yelling and getting in their face, screaming at them. He doesn't cuss, though. It's the funniest thing. He has replacement cuss words. So he says, like, dang, shoot, get that mug, stuff like that. Like, it's hilarious. But they learn about Jesus through the way he lives out his life. He's a devout Christian, and he knows that he's called to be here with these kids. He loves on them. He yells at them. He prays for them. It's not complicated, but it's messy. So that's y'all's rec for today. Go home, watch Last Chance U basketball. It does have a language warning because some of the boys got a mouth, but it's not coming from Coach Mo. But I'm telling you, it's one of the best shows because he models what it looks like to pour into these kids in a great way. As millennials, we're called to guide Gen Z to explore and own their faith. We're called to be Pauls to our Timothys. And that happened for Scotty. Scotty was our Paul and we were his Timothys. He poured into us. And speaking of Paul and Timothy, I want to show you a specific passage that we share with our youth pretty much all the time, that we remind them about. It said, don't let anyone look down on you because you're young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. So Paul, this whole passage is Paul encouraging Timothy to walk in faith with confidence, to not listen to the naysayers, to not listen to the false teachings of other people who claim to know Jesus, and telling him that he should do it this way or do it that way. He's telling him, no, you know what the way is. Walk confidently in that. Being young doesn't mean you don't matter and that you don't have a voice. A lot of times I feel like Gen Z is more mature about certain topics than a lot of the adults I see, to be totally honest. We, a couple weeks ago, our small group had a candid conversation about the school shooting situation in this country, and I just asked them straight up, I'm sick of hearing adults talk about this. What do y'all think? Because nobody seems to want to talk to y'all about it, because y'all are the ones that go to school every day. And it was one of the best conversations we ever had, because I got to hear from them. I was done from hearing from the adults about this situation, because they don't have to live through it. It's the kids go to school every day and have to worry about this. Equip, empower, and encourage. This is something that Scotty has instilled in us as a church, as a staff. But it's not something that he just says. He modeled this out for us. We learned from that, and we went out and did it with these teenagers. It was all intentional, and it started from the top down. Scotty knew what needed to be done. He knew that the next generation, focusing on next gen ministry was what we needed to do, not the other way around. Because again, what KV said, it's not the old people that's going to build the church. I'm sorry, but the numbers are going to come from getting Gen Z and millennials and Gen Alpha, who's right behind them, to learn about Jesus and to be here. But that looks different. Getting them here looks different than it did for some of y'all. They're growing up in a different world. They have access to all this information. But I also want to mention other people that helped and guide me to get here besides Scotty. And I want to start with my dad. What's up, Pop? I know you're going to watch this later, so I want to say hi and give a shout out. He never misses an opportunity to walk with me through tough times. He's been there when I've made mistakes. And I literally, back in the day, I had a prodigal son moment, and I thought he was going to scream his head off at me, and he just hugged me. I had done something terrible, and he literally did what that story that Jesus told to me, and it was awesome. The Robinsons. There y'all are. I see y'all over there. They have chosen to have us over for dinners at times, just to talk with us and learn about us. They've taken the time to get to know us. And they even let us use their house as our wedding venue for me and Jordan in the pandemic in 2020. I will be forever grateful to y'all for that. Dang it, I'm starting to cry. Shoot. I told the Katies I was going to get through this whole thing not crying, and I'm starting to. The Harkeys. Hey, the Harkeys have been a huge part of me being here in Brownwood. They helped me by letting me watch their houses when they would go on summer trips and take care of their garden and things like that, and paid me to do so. And while in doing that, we had a lot of good talks, and they got to know me, and I got to know them, and they chose to pour into me. I'm not their son, I'm not their grandson, but they treat me like one. And then Emily, the Crawfords, both of them have poured into me, helped me to. I work for both of them. So I work for Emily at the city, and then I work for Scotty here throughout the week. So it's a win-win. They've done so much to pour into me, not just with here, but just in life. And Miss Glenda Lemke, where you at? I know you're here. There she is. My Brownwood grandma. She has helped me in so many ways whenever I first moved here. Helped me do laundry when I didn't have a laundry room because I lived at a weird apartment complex. But all along the way, she guided me, gave me advice, fed me, took care of me when I didn't have any money. And these are just to name a few people that have been such a big influence in me wanting to give back to the generation after me. So last but not least, I can't leave this woman out. My grandma, Stella Matthews. Hi, Grandma. I know you watching because I texted you about it earlier. She never misses an opportunity to talk to me about life, to give me spiritual guidance, to love on me, always calls to check up on me. I wouldn't be here without her. So thank you, Grandma. I love you. But I want to continue and go back to this statement. How can we make it worth it to you to invest in these two generations? Preparing for this message had me very excited. All the research I was doing, which, by the way, was really hard because a lot of the research that I was doing, especially about millennials, was very negative. It made it hard to do my research, so I really had to dig because everybody seemed to want to talk about the negative things about millennials and not the positive things. And it was pretty hurtful, but I was still excited to do all this research for this message. The reason I was excited is because I'm getting to see all of this happen in real time. Scotty poured into us, and we're pouring into Gen Z, and our youth group is getting ready to go off to college, and we hope that they do the same thing for Gen Alpha when they're coming up. And that's the way that KB talked about how it's supposed to be. The generation before us is supposed to pour into us, we're supposed to pour into them. It's a pattern that works if you lean into it. And don't try to create a disconnect. Actually learn about these people. But I'm getting to see it all come together. And the multi-generational relationships that I have, I wouldn't trade it for anything. We have friendships with Gen Z, and we have friendships with boomers and with Gen X. It's amazing. And that's the way it should be. We can go to them about specific things, and then Gen Z can come to us. It's had a huge impact on my life. And it's totally worth every minute I've invested in these kids. I watched them grow up in 6 years, which is, to me, a lot of time because literally when I saw Seth for the first time, he's this little boy in this weird Minecraft jacket that was afraid to talk to me. Which he's not here today, that's why I'm picking on him. But the mentoring doesn't end when they graduate. These are lifelong relationships. So when they go off to college and they're worried about what to do next, or they're getting homesick, we told them, hey, we're a phone call away. This does not end when y'all graduate. I know you hear me, Grayson. So I hope the same for my mentors that have poured into me. I hope we continue those relationships. But a question I have for Gen X and older: what can investing in millennials and Gen Z look like for you? Maybe it's choosing to mentor them in some form of capacity. It doesn't have to be some big, grandiose thing like being involved in youth group, but maybe it's just inviting them over for dinner and talking to them and learning about them. Maybe it's doing what the Robinson did and paid for our entire youth group to go see Jesus Revolution, which inherently was a life-changing thing for them, and then it led to Grayson getting baptized. Yeah, and that's a big thing. So multi-generational stuff going on. But it can be all these different things. And I love it. It's awesome. Whether it's big or small, investing in the younger generation matters. It matters. It matters because millennials are the biggest people in the workforce. We need to invest in them so that we can change the stuff that's going on. And the Gen Z to follow. We need to be there for them and guide them through all of this, because they don't have anybody else. They're trying to figure it out on their own. They shouldn't have to. It's also good to note that I've learned a lot in investing time in Gen Z. I understand how to talk to them. I understand all their lingo, although I don't know if the phrase bussin' is going to stick around for very long. But choosing to pour into the younger generation will help you grow. It really will. You think you're going to try to teach them something. I've learned so much from them. I've learned how to think more outside the box when it comes to my faith, because they ask so many crazy questions. Remember, they want to know why. It gets hard when they ask you existential questions in small group, but it's worth it. It's messy, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it. So choose to build those relationships over time. Get messy. Walk through the hard times with these people. These are the future innovators, the future leaders of our world. Let's leave it in better hands for them and not trust them, like leave it to them to have to fix stuff that we chose not to do, which is what they're currently having to worry about. Let's lift them up to own the roles, to be those great leaders in the future. Maybe they'll want to come back to the church. Maybe they'll want to be a part of what we're wanting to do here. I don't know what the answers are to get them back in here, but I do know relationships work. Jesus understood that, and that's why he built those relationships with the disciples. He saw the importance in it. It matters, and it's worth it. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing me to speak to our congregation about these two awesome generations. I'm thankful for our congregation and their heart for the next generation. I'm thankful that they came to learn more and continue in this series. I know it can be a little tough, but I think this is a great opportunity to look differently in a way than we've done before. Generations, the younger generations matter, and we need to lift them up. And I pray that we as a church are felt led to do that in any way that you lead us to. So Lord, lead us in our walks. Help us to be there for each other as multi-generational in this church. I'm thankful that we have a multi-generational church. And I pray that you would help us to champion that and move forward with that. I pray that all in your son's holy name. Amen. Thank y'all so much for coming. I appreciate y'all, all the support that y'all have given me throughout the week for this message. Y'all have a great week.